Hey everyone, so we're going to finish up the last page of the notes right now in this video, and I just want to apologize in advance because you probably will hear stuff in the background. It's my kid, I'm really sorry, but I just want to get this out to you as soon as possible so that way you know what you're doing for class today. All right, so question 3 says to determine the equations of the lines shown in the following graph. So let's take a look at the first graph that we have here. And just a reminder, the equation of a line is always going to be y equals mx plus b. So we need two things. We need the slope and we also need the y-intercept. Now, the y-intercept is nice and easy because the y-intercept is just where it crosses the y-axis. So this right here is your y-intercept. We know that our y-intercept is 4. Now, to find the slope, we need 2 points. So here's our first point. We can use the y-intercept as our first point. And I'm going to go through my graph and I'm going to stop when I get to a point where I know exactly where it's at, where it has like an even intersection. So right here is another point that I can use right here. I can't like use this point because it's not a full box. I can't use this point, so on and so forth. So I'm going to draw in my rise and my run right here. This is my rise and it's -3 because it's going down by 3. And then this is my run and it's +4 because it's going right by 4. So here my slope would be -3 over 4 because remember slope is rise over run. Okay? You could have also gone the other way and said that it was +3 over -4, but that would still end up being a negative number. So now that we've done that, we can just replace the m in right here and the b in right here, and then we should be good to go to write our equation. So our equation would be y equals -3 over 4x, and then plus 4, okay? All right, in our next one, it's the same exact idea. Same thing, we're just gonna say y equals mx plus b. We need to figure out what the m and the b are. So let's start off by writing out m equals, and then we'll also write out b equals. And b equals is always going to be where it crosses the y-axis. So this is your b, this is your y-intercept. So we know that b is +6. Now, to find the slope, I just need 2 points, and I need to see what's going to happen to go from one point to the other point. So, for example, right here, I can start here and end here. So if I draw in the rise and the run, I can see that this is 6 over 3. So this went up by 6 and over by 3. They're both positive because we're going up and to the right. So 6 over 3 would give me 2. So this is m equals 2 right here. Doesn't matter where you start and end. For example, I could have started here and ended here. This goes down by 2 and to the left by 1, but the double negatives become a positive. So again, it doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you are being consistent and you're thinking really hard about how you're doing it. So now when I write out my equation, instead of m, I can replace it with this 2 right here. Y equals 2x, and don't forget that x because that's really important. And instead of b, I can just write +6. And this is my equation for this one right here. All right, in the next question right here, it says find the equation of a line. So before I do anything else, I see the words find the equation of a line, and that automatically tells me that I'm going to go straight to finding the m and finding the b. So I need to figure out what m and b are. Find the equation of a line that has a slope of 2. So if I have a slope of 2, this tells me that my m is going to be 2. And then it says that it passes through the point 3, 1. So this time I don't know what the b is. So I have to figure out what the b is. So I'm going to use the equation y equals mx plus b to help me out. And I know that I'm going to fill in 2 for the m because I know that the slope right here is 2. But I don't know the b, so I'm going to leave it as b. Again, this should be a review for you from last year. So now in order to solve for b, I need to plug in 3, 1. Okay? And the 3 right here, the 3, 1 came from this point right here. So the 3 is the x and the 1 is the y, because in a coordinate, x always goes first, y always goes second. So I can replace this y right here with a 1, because that's what y is. And then I'm going to say equals, and then here I'm going to I'm going to keep the m as 2, and we know that the x, according to this coordinate, is 3. So I'm going to put in 3 right here, and then I'm just going to say plus b. Why do we plug this in? because before we had 1, 2, 3 variables, and now we only have one, and I can actually solve for b. So I'm going to multiply the 2 by the 3 right here, and I get 6. So I get 1 equals 6 plus b, and then I'm just going to bring this up here because I'm running out of room. To get this b alone, I need to get rid of the 6, and to get rid of the 6, I would subtract the 6. So b is -5. So here we can say that our b is -5. We know our information now. We know what our m is. We know what our b is. So we can say y equals 2x. This is the mx plus b is going to be -5. And that's my answer for number 4. Okay. In number 5, it says find the equation of a line that has a slope of 3/4. So I see find the equation of a line. I'm going to write m equals and b equals. And I know my slope is 3/4. And then it says that I have an x-intercept of -4. That does not mean that b is -4 because b is your y-intercept and this is your x-intercept. So what you want to do is you want to write this as a coordinate. So your coordinate here would be -4, 0, okay? Because again, your x-intercept will always happen when y equals 0. So here, y equals 0. So now that I've done that, I can just fill in my information here. I'm really sorry. I know that this is really small. You're going to have to kind of squeeze everything in here. So y equals mx plus b. We can take the m that we know right here is 3/4 and plug it in for m right here. So y equals 3/4x plus b. But we also have the point -4, 0. This is the x and this is the y. So I can replace the y with a 0. And then here I can say equals 3/4. And then instead of x, I can replace this x with the -4 right here. So again, the 0 goes in for the y, the -4 goes in for the x, and then I can just say plus b at the end, right here. So now all I need to do is actually multiply these guys together. So 3/4 times -4 would give me -3. So 0 equals -3 plus b. I'm going to bring this up here just because I'm running out of room. And then to get the b alone, I would add the 3, so b is 3. So right here, b equals 3. So then we can just say y equals 3/4x plus 3, and that is going to be my final answer here. Okay, number 6 says find the equation of a line that passes through the points -4, 5, and 4, 7. So it says find the equation of a line. So same thing, I'm going to say m equals and b equals. But this time it doesn't give me a slope. So I need to remind you of a really important formula, which is the slope formula right here. Let's actually write it down underneath this graph right here. So remember, the slope formula is m equals, we could do rise over 1, but we also have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So write this down and make sure that you have this somewhere if you don't remember it, especially because it's a really important formula that we have to use, okay? So if we take a look at this right here, these are my points up here. So -4, 5, and 4, 7. So this right here is your x1. This number right here is going to be your y1. This 4 is your x2, and this 7 right here is your y2. So now when I go through and I use the formula, I'm going to rewrite the formula down. I'm going to plug in that information right here. So y2 right here is 7. So I'm going to replace that with 7. And then I'm going to say minus, and then right here, y1 is this 5 right here. So I'm going to put in a 5 for y1. All over x2 right here is this 4. And then x1 is this -4. But be careful, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say minus, and then this is going to be -4. And the minus and negative is going to turn into a positive. Okay, so now I need to actually figure out what these numbers are. So on top in the numerator right here, I'm going to figure out what 7 minus 5 is, which is 2. And then in the denominator, I'm going to figure out what 4 plus 4 is, which is 8. And then 2 over 8 can be reduced. They're both divisible by 2. I can't divide 2 by 8 evenly, but I can reduce it. So I get my slope is 1/4. So now I know my slope. But now I have to figure out what my y-intercept is. To find my y-intercept, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I've always done. I'm going to say y equals, and then instead of m, I'm going to replace it with 1/4. So y equals 1/4 x plus b. And then I can plug in either one of these points to solve for b. It doesn't matter which one I plug in. So I could either use -4 and 5, or I can use 4 and 7, but I can't mix and match. So I can't put the -4 with the 7 or this 4 with this 5. It has to be one whole entire point that is already together in a coordinate, okay? So I will use this second one over here, this 4 and this 7, and I'm going to replace the y right here with what y is, which is 7. So I'm going to say 7 equals, and then I'm going to have 1/4 x, or 1/4, and then instead of x, I'm going to replace it with what x is, which is 4. So 1/4 times 4, and then I'm going to say plus b. Okay, and then I'm just going to multiply. So 1/4 times 4 right here is just 1. And then I copy the rest down. So 7 equals 1 plus b. Subtract the 1 to get the b alone. So b equals 6. So now I know what b is as well. And now I can write out my equation. Y equals 1/4 x plus 6. Okay, and it's also asking us to graph the line. So just a reminder, we always start at whatever the y-intercept is, which is 6. So I'm going to start this at 6, and then I'm going to go, I'm going to use the slope to tell me my rise and my run. My rise is 1, my run is 4. So I'm going to go up by 1 and over by 4. Okay, and I just drew that in so you can see what I'm doing here, but you don't actually have to draw it in. So up by 1, over by 4, and then I put a dot right there. And then I'll do it again. From this point right here, I would go up by 1 and over by 4. And I think that's sufficient to be able to get enough information right here for our line. So let's go ahead and graph out our line. Make sure your line goes all the way through your paper. And now we are good to go. This is the line that we just got right here. Let's make sure that it actually worked. So the first point that we have here is -4, 5. So I'm going to go right here to -4, 5, and I can see that -4, 5 is for sure a point on my line right here. And then the other point is at 4, 7. So I'm going to go to 4, 7, and I can see right here that 4, 7 is also a point on my line, so I know that I graphed this out correctly. Okay, let's do one last question. So same thing, find the equation of a line that passes through the point 3, 1, and 5, -3, and then graph the line. So we need to find the m, we need to find the b. The first thing I need to do to find the m is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And if you look right here, we can see that this is x1. This right here is y1. This right here is x2. And this right here is y2. So let's go ahead and fill in that information right here. So in the numerator, I know that y2 is -3 right here. So I'm going to do -3. And then I'm going to say minus y1 right here, which is 1. And then that's going to be over x2 right here, which is 5. And then minus x1, which is 3. So let's go ahead and evaluate and see what we get right here. So this right here, when I do -3 minus 1, that gives me -4 on top. And then on the bottom in the denominator, I'm going to do 5 minus 3, which is 2, and -4 divided by 2 is -2. So here we know our slope is going to be -2. So then to find out what the b is, I can use either equation to solve for b. So I'm going to replace the m right here with a -2. And then I'm going to use this point right here. Again, it doesn't matter which point you use. So instead of y, I'm going to replace it with 1. and then I'm going to say equals -2 times x, and then plus b. And the x right here is this 3 right here. So I'm going to say times 3 and then the plus b. So then let's bring this up here. So this ends up being, I'm going to multiply those two numbers together so I get -6. So I copy down the 1, I get 1 equals, and then here this becomes -6 plus b. To get the b alone, we would add 6. So then we end up getting 7 equals b. So here our b is 7, which means that our final equation is going to be y equals -2x plus 7. Okay, let's go ahead and graph this out and see how this works for us. So I'm going to start my graph at 7, and then the slope is -2. So that means I would go down 2 and then over to the right 1. So down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. I think that's sufficient. We'll draw our graph, draw our line. Make sure it goes all the way through your paper right here. Write the equation on the line, and we're good to go. Let's just make sure it goes through the points that we want it to go through. So the first point that it needs to go through is 3, 1 right here, and 3, 1 is right here, so this point works. And then the other point that it needs to go through is 5, -3. It does go through 5, -3 right here, so we are good to go. We know we've graphed this out correctly, okay? Email me if you have any questions, and that's it for this video. Bye, people.